Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, we are talking about problematic authors. What does that mean? Who's been doing what? And consider what that means for you when an author that you've enjoyed in the past becomes problematic. Stay tuned. Today's episode is sponsored in part by audiobooks.com. Audiobooks.com now has 175,000 titles and 1.2 million podcasts. New customers get 3 free audiobooks comprised of 1 premium credit and 2 VIP titles. Use our promo code SHELFADDICTION, spelled as one word, when you sign up at audiobooks.com. Again, our promo code is SHELFADDICTION. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Participate in this discussion by joining the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. I hope to hear your thoughts on today's topic. You can always find me and Casey on Twitter and Instagram. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with some book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. That would really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing so. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including after shows and more. So if you're interested in that at all, you'll need to come on over to Patreon and sign up. Without further ado, let's get started. Joining me is feature co-host Casey from Heart Full of Ink. Welcome back, Casey.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. I'm always happy when we talk. It's always so much fun.
It is. We have the best conversations.
Yes. Even when we talk about things that aren't so fun, like we're going to today. Yes. Our topic is a little more serious today, guys. We are going to be talking about problematic authors. And what do you do when you find out someone you've read a lot of or you really like is the worst.com? What do you do? We've also got some Readers React comments that we will. Yes, thank you in advance to everyone that sent a comment in. So after the break, come back and you'll hear others' take on this topic. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's jump right in. You guys, we did some research on this. I want to let you know first and foremost. So any of the people we mention, I'm going to have sources in the show notes. And if you go to the blog post, you can find these links. Mm-hmm. So there'll be other blog post links, article links, basically backup for what we're talking about.
Yes.
Right. So you can find it and look at it yourself if you're unaware. So please don't be like, Tamara, you're talking out your neck. No, we are not.
We have sources.
We have
can
sources.
Back it up with facts.
Yes. So feel free to check that out if you want to know more, because we're not going to go in depth on every single one. So if you want to know the dirty details, you can also hit Google and search it and find it.
Google is your friend.
Yes, it is. All right. Where should we kick this situation off with?
Do we just want to start with the big question? What do you do when an author becomes problematic? Or one of your favorite authors becomes problematic?
Yes.
Like what's the overall answer to that?
And I think that question for some people is complicated and for others it's easy. For me, especially if it's something and that's another part of this question. Like, what did they do? And do you deem it too far or not? So that's another personal call, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where do your values lie? Do you think, like, what I think might be dreadful, you might not think is dreadful? Or what? But for me, like, before we even get into the books, let me take it real easy. This is an easy answer for me. And this is the best example I can give. It's so blatant. R. Kelly. Okay, R. Kelly. Back in the day, I used to love me some R. Kelly music. Love it. I can sing all the songs today because, they were beaten to your head.
Yeah.
But now that I know how gross he is, I don't care what it is. I will never play another R. Kelly song again. Mm-hmm. Not on Spotify, not on it, not anywhere. Yep. I don't want to give him any credits of any sort, of any monies anywhere. He's gross. Yep. Period. Yep.
Yes.
What about you, Casey? Is it cut and dry for you, or do you have some gray?
99.9% of the time, I'm done. It's over. If this person has fucked up, I'm walking away. Whether it's books, authors, music, movies, I'm done. If somebody is racist trash fire, if they're homophobic trash fire, if they're fucking pedophiles, I'm done. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give you any money. I don't care what art you produced. I don't care. And you went with R. Kelly. My first thought was the director, Quentin Tarantino. Mm. I love his movies. I love Kill Bill. I watched that when I was way too young. I think I was 10 years old when I watched it. And I just love Uma Thurman. I loved her. And then when the whole Harry Weinstein thing came out, and she talked about how dangerous the movie set was for her and how unsafe she felt, I was horrified because I love those movies. I thought they were some of the most iconic feminism, kick-ass woman, hell yeah, beat down the patriarchy, Kill Bill. Yes, I'm all for that. And then when it came out, how unsafe she felt, I felt devastated. And I have never watched another one of his movies again. And I don't think I ever will. Yeah. And also he, protects his pedophile friends. And he's just, there's lots of trash fire news about Quentin Tarantino. And so I'm just nope, I'm done. I'm never going to watch another one of your movies. And I don't think I'll ever watch Kill Bill again.
Yeah.
I'll go find Uma Thurman other ways. Yeah, which is really sad.
Yeah, why'd you have to ruin it? You ruined it.
Why?
For us.
Why did you have to ruin it?
Yeah. And I mean, I feel that way about one of the authors we're going to talk about. I've said in another podcast, I've read all these books by this particular person. Mm-hmm. And I felt vested in that series. Oh, and yes. I'm pissed.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. And I'm just as pissed. It's been 5 or 6 years now, and I'm still disgusted with her.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's later.
Because, I was late to the party on that one, and I understand a lot of you guys out there could be late to the party on some of these because, as, me and Casey were talking before, and it's if you're not, actively looking for book news, unless it's a huge author, you may not be aware of it. Because before the podcast, when I was, we're actively looking for things to talk about, I wasn't really aware too much of, some of the drama. Mm-hmm. So the one author we're talking about just now, which we'll get into, I didn't know about 5 years ago when it kicked off. I was late. I'm still in my happy, blissful place reading these books, tra-la-la. And then Casey just rained on my parade with a thunderstorm.
I watched that trash fire happen in real time, and it was absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later.
Nothing like one of your best book friends saying, "Hey, did you hear about this? Rah! Oh shit! Oh no! Bomb!
Bomb! Oh yeah! Oh, so bad."
Mm-hmm. So I guess me and Casey are pretty much on the same page. We're both kind of we're done with you.
Fuck it. Yeah, we're done. I'm not giving you any more money. So that being said, if we want to dive into our first author, which we'll talk about, is J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, and that's easy for me because I've never read a book from her.
Oh my God.
You know what? People used to always grate me over the rocks you haven't read Harry Potter and you like fantasy? But I'm I was grown up reading adult fantasy by the time her stuff became aware, before I became aware of her, rather.
Yeah.
So I did see the movies, but,
So Harry Potter was my entire childhood. I read the first book in 1999. It was everything to me and my sisters and my parents, and it was everything to us. We would pre-order the books, and when the UPS guy would show up, July 31st or 20, whatever it was, like he would show up in July, my sisters and I would literally accost him in our front yard and like grab the package out of his hand and rip it open and pull out the Harry Potter book and start reading it like right there. Like Harry Potter was everything to me. And finding out that my idol is this transphobic, possibly homophobic, just trash fire is so utterly heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And this is that 0.1% of the time where I don't know what to do, because Harry Potter means so much to me. And so this is where I stand. I'm disgusted with her, and I never want to support her ever again. I will never buy anything from her, no matter what book she writes. I'll never watch any new movies. Supposedly, there's a new Harry Potter TV show coming to HBO Max, but I won't watch any of it. I won't give her a single dollar ever again. But I'm still keeping my Harry Potter books, and I will occasionally reread them. But as some Tumblr post said at one point, it's the greatest mystery of my generation. We'll never know who wrote Harry Potter. They magically appeared on our bookshelves, and there's no author associated with it. And that's my 0.1% where I'm like, I can't give up Harry Potter because it was so important to my childhood. But J.K. Rowling as a person, she's dead to me. I'm never going to read anything else she ever writes. I'm never going to support her financially. I'm never going to do anything. I'm not going to associate her name with Harry Potter. Harry Potter is mine. She can go fuck off.
Well, at least the original Harry Potter.
Yeah, so the original Harry Potter. No new stuff. No nothing. The original 7 books are mine. And I don't know who wrote them. They just magically appeared.
She also writes under that pseudonym, Robert Galbraith. Is that it? Galbraith?
Something like that. Yeah. I never read those books.
I haven't, but I have I have The Cuckoo's Calling on my shelf. One that I've been meaning to get to forever and ever and ever, which now I'm just going to put in my donation pile because I hadn't read it. So I'm not really stressed. Yeah. But I know they also made an adaptation of those like in the UK, which is airing, I think, like on HBO or something. But I won't even watch that because I don't want to give it any plays, nothing, any help.
Numbers, no help, no streaming, no nothing. And I personally didn't like the Harry Potter movies. I watched the first 4 and then stopped and never watched the rest. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything if I don't read the books or watch the movies or see this new TV show if it ever happens. Like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, it's a shame, but she's out here and she don't care. She is like backing up, like doubling down on her comments. She don't care. So you shouldn't care.
There's this YouTube video by a trans woman that breaks it down beautifully. It's an hour and a half long, so you really need to have the time to invest. But she, she's a trans woman, so she has the voice of the person who's being hurt most by J.K. Rowling right now. And what she does is she breaks down the start, everything J.K. Rowling said, why it's hurtful and harmful. And she even tries to understand why J.K. Rowling says what she says and why she believes this. And she tries to be very empathetic and showing the different sides. We'll put that down in the show notes. But it was just, let me look up the name really fast.
Yeah, it's
ContraPoints.
Yeah. And actually, I was able to watch some of that. And what I did watch, I thought was very poignant and had a lot of good points. But just be heads up, that is quite a listen. It's very, or watch, if you choose to watch it. It's very long, but there are some good points in there. And
it's very worth it. If you love J.K. Rowling, if you love Harry Potter, if you want to support trans people, like go listen to this video.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess that's all we have to say on that dumpster fire. Let's move on to the next dumpster fire. So let's talk a little bit about AJ Fenn. You guys might know him from his recent book that is going to be made into an adaptation. It was Woman in the Window. And that was really popular, like maybe a year and a half ago. People were really all about that book, even though I've read it back then and reviewed it, and it's not all of that, y'all. I'm just saying. Anyway, this
I'd love to hear your review.
Oh my gosh. So this dude turns out to be, not only is the book not original, some people are saying that he pulled some of this stuff from other authors, like kind of stole it. Yeah, but he is like, what is that guy called in that movie? Ripley, Mr. Ripley or whatever. Remember that movie where with what's his face? I'm drawing a blank. But basically he's able to change his character. Like he is who you want him to be, basically. He lies about his past. He lies to publishers, again, stealing a book. I mean, he's notoriously known for lying about his mother having cancer, lying about
him having cancer.
Or him having cancer. Like,
his mother too. Like it was everybody had cancer.
Yeah. I mean, like getting paid and not ever being in like working. And he worked for a publisher. And when his book went up to bid, when they figured out who the author was, apparently nobody really wanted to deal with it. But, I don't know. But the New Yorker did this like expose on him called The Suspense Novelist Trail of Deceptions. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it is wild. It's wild. It's like a movie. It's like this guy is insane. Like, so while it's not being racist and homophobic, it's still like, do you really want to support someone that goes around telling people that his mother has cancer, his brother has cancer, he has cancer? I'm going to get all the coins and do no work. I'm going to be a sleaze bucket. I mean, and plus, like I said, this came out after I read the book. But the book wasn't even that damn good. I'm just saying. You do what you want.
That article, and it had a little snippet from the book. It was the end of the book, so it's spoiler alert. But reading that, it just felt so lame and stupid, where the bad guy comes in and he's sitting on the woman's bed holding like a penknife or whatever. And he's like, I tricked you. I cried in front of you to make you love me or whatever. Like, it was very short. And I was like, this just sounds so stupid.
It is
like stupid. If I read a thriller book and the bad guy comes in and sits on your bed and he's like twirling his little knife and admitting to everything, like, I'd be disappointed in that book. That's really stupid.
I mean, so like, okay. And plus, that's a whole nother conversation is when we talk about men writing from women's point of view. But I mean, this whole book, basically everyone and their mother was gaslighting this main character.
Ugh.
Hell, she was gaslighting herself a little bit in a way. Oh, God. It's the most crazy shit. It's like, okay. I guess. If you haven't read it, I mean, I don't think you should waste your time. And definitely, I feel like when his name comes up again, should he by chance get another book published, I have no idea if he got any kind of deal or not. I will be passing, hard pass, just because. Why? There's so many other better authors out there that don't have such a crazy past.
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, I don't usually read thrillers, but if I'm going to read something, I don't want to read a shitty book. Mm-hmm. And that's what it boils down to, is like
a shitty book by a shitty person.
Good. Like, yeah, ooh. Like it doesn't sound good. I don't want to read it. I'm not going to give them any money.
But they sold it as a movie, which is the craziest thing to me. I'm like, who thought this would be a good movie? They're probably going to change it so much it's not going to be recognizable.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
But all the people are going to go see it that haven't read the book because they don't know it's a book, because you know how non-readers are. Oh, yeah. That movie looks good. Oh, that's based off a book? I had no idea. But hopefully he doesn't
people didn't know the Bridgertons was based off books. Like,
it's just crazy. Like,
it was talked about nonstop that it was a book series, book adaptation, and people are still like, oh, I didn't know it was a book.
Yeah, it's crazy. But hopefully he got his money and he's not getting any kind of residuals or any royalties or anything off this movie. Meh. Move on. Meh.
Next.
Next is the person we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, my God. So we'll say the name. It's Karen Marie Moaning. Mm-hmm. She is really well known for her Fever series. And that is a series that I personally, I felt very invested, and I really enjoyed it after like the second book. Like things started slow for me, but it got really good. And she's just the worst because she supports her friends no matter what they do. No matter what they do.
She's a pedophile.
Yeah. So apparently, again, there are links down here, but Phil Gigante, is that how you pronounce his name? Gigante?
I think so.
He is the audiobook narrator for most of this series. They did switch audiobook narrators in the end after the drama, but she was more than willing to keep him on as the audiobook narrator after all the shit hit the fan.
So Phil went to court and he pled guilty for being a pedophile. He had pictures of young girls on his computer, and there's something about him kind of stalking the girl, I think, at one point. But basically, 2 of the 4 charges stuck. He said, I'm guilty in front of a judge, and he went to jail. And then he was under house arrest for 3 months. Like, it was a very short in jail time because he's a white man and, privilege. White men can do anything. He pled guilty, but he wasn't able to narrate I think it was book 6 or the first book in the spinoff series or whatever. Like he did the first 5 books. He didn't do book 6. And when it came out, readers were kind of upset and they're like, hey, where's Phil? We miss his voice. We love him. And Karen came out and she said, something happened. He wasn't able to come in. We love the new narrator, but, he'll be back for sure because we love him and he's the voice of my characters and everything's great. I watched this happen in real time, guys. Like I was on Facebook watching these comments, watching these posts happen. This was 2016, I think. But anyway, some commenters came onto that post and said, hey, he didn't narrate because he's in jail because he pled guilty. And Karen Marie Moaning started deleting those comments. She was straight up deleting those comments. But more and more people started commenting and they were linking it. They had the articles. They had the court notes or whatever. And they're like, he's in jail because he's a pedophile and he pled guilty. And so Karen, she came out, there's screenshots of this on the internet. She was saying, no, he's innocent. He's fine. There's something I know that proves he's totally innocent. He would never do anything like this. We love him. We support him. He's going to come back. He's the best guy. Other readers were also saying shit like, oh, it was just that girl's fault. she's the one who tempted him. She's a 14-year-old girl. It's all her fault. He's totally innocent. That little girl needs to be in jail. I just want Phil's voice back. Like, it was
gross.
a shit show.
That is disgusting.
Oh my God. It was fucked up.
That is beyond disgusting.
It is beyond disgusting. It got really heated and really nasty for like 3 days. And then the post got deleted. And then like 2 days later, Karen came out and posted on Facebook and said, I'm sorry, Phil's not coming back. My publisher has decided to move on to somebody else. And that was it. And that was like her whole apology thing.
And that's a bullshit apology because she didn't really acknowledge. No, she didn't acknowledge what her part in that was. Like,
not at all. Not at all. And she kept saying he was innocent, that there was more evidence that proved he was totally innocent. And I'm just sitting here like, he was in court and he looked at a judge and said, I'm guilty. And you wouldn't do that if there was other evidence proving you were innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I know you're a white man, but if there was evidence proving you were innocent, you wouldn't say, I'm guilty.
No, you wouldn't. You would go and try to defend yourself.
Yes.
That's what you would do.
You have lawyers. Get that evidence or whatever Karen thinks you have to prove that you are innocent and take it to the judge and prove your innocence. But he couldn't because he pled guilty because he's a fucking pedophile.
So this was really a 2-for-1. Honestly, clearly, obviously, I'm never going to listen to anything that man narrates again. We're done.
Yeah.
And because of Karen's stance on that, defending a pedophile, victim blaming, all that other stuff, we're done too.
We're done. And yeah, like you, I read the entire Fever series, all 5 books. I was so invested in that series. Book 4 had the worst cliffhanger I've ever read, and I was like screaming in the middle of the night after it. And then as soon as the book 5 came out, I was very tempted to like call in sick to work. Like that was one of the few times I was truly, truly tempted to call in sick and just stay and read, but I didn't. I loved that series. And then watching her say, this pedophile is innocent. It was the 14-year-old girl's fault. I'm going to delete all these comments saying he's in jail because I don't believe he should be in jail. No.
See,
Karen is dead to me.
And I wonder if, and this is just me speculating, because I did read Iced before I found out about this. And Iced was from Danny's point of view. She was 14 or something like that.
Shit.
Danny's young. And then like she goes through the wall, she goes through the, whatever, the portal or whatever, and comes out a fucking adult, right? She's gone for so many months for them, but for her, it was years and years. But she's still young in her mind. And like, of course, one of Baron's people are trying to get with her. I'm like, she's a child, basically. So I'm like, well, maybe she don't have a problem. You know what I'm saying? But again, that is I'm drawing my own conclusions, but I'm like, well, that is what that book is about. That's what the fucking book is about. I'm like, okay. But I didn't really connect the dots until after. I'm like, wow. Yikes.
No. Karen is dead to me.
Yeah.
Like I watched that happen in real time, and it was just absolutely horrific and disgusting. Yeah. And to this day, I don't think people talk about it enough because there are people out there who say that, if an author's problematic, they cut the author out. But then they're sitting over here fawning over Karen. And I'm just like, a quick Google search would tell you the type of person she is. And it's not that she herself is a pedophile or anything like that. She's not. She just defended a pedophile and then never apologized, never owned up to it, never did any sort of, trying to heal or acknowledge that she did anything wrong. She, as far as I know, she doesn't think she did anything wrong. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with her defending Phil. And
I mean, in life, you can choose to defend someone that does wrong things, but that says something about you as a person. And if you choose to do that, I mean, that's your prerogative. But then you also have to realize that you're not a private person. You're posting it online. And then when people see that, I can then decide if you're a shitty person or not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I will never read another book by her. I won't, because if you can sit there and defend a pedophile, no. If you can victim blame and blame a 14-year-old girl for a 40-year-old man's actions,
oh God.
No.
You guys probably know, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, I have a hard black and white stance on dealing with minors. A minor cannot give consent. I don't give two shits what they've done, what they're saying, what they're wearing. You, as the adult, have you have the power. You know what you're doing. You're manipulating. You know where to draw the line. You say no to children. No to children. Hard no.
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, there's something wrong with you. You have the fully developed brain. I'm sorry.
And even those people who are counting down to, oh, she's almost 18. Oh, give me another month until she's 18 and then it's legal. That's really fucking creepy too. And that's like borderline pedophilia to me personally, because it's wrong, but you're still sexualizing this person and you're counting down the days until the law says it's okay, you can have sex. Like, that's just, no, that's creepy.
Nasty.
That's nasty.
And then to add the internet stuff on top of it, like he was trying to ew, like, no, you're just nasty. You're gross.
Yeah, you're gross.
And I don't know how anyone could defend that personally. I don't know.
I don't either. Unless he lied and manipulated and gaslit Karen into believing he's this perfectly stand-up guy and she fell for his lines, hook, line, and sinker. But even then, like, God damn it, you're defending pedophilia. How? How?
In my mind, there is no way a 14-year-old can trap an adult. There's no fucking way, because logic says you're underage. Don't talk to me. That's it.
She's 14. Like, she's barely a teenager.
Right. That is it.
No, I'm so...
The adult is responsible. And that is
100%.
Oh, my God.
100%. No. And she's still such a big name author. And so sometimes I'm sitting here like, do people just not remember? Do they not care? Do they not know? Like,
I feel like they might not know, because I didn't know. I mean, because I don't follow Karen. I never did. Before the podcast, I never followed or paid attention to audiobook narrators. Even though I listened, I didn't really care about them online. That's just not what I followed. But the minute I heard, my fingers are typing. Google, what about this? What happened?
And so I just want to say, this will be in the show notes, but Janine Frost, who we love and adore, who wrote the Cat and Bone series, she has a blog post that details everything. And then Janine Frost links to Jenny Trout's blog where she details everything, but Jenny Trout's blog also has screenshots. So you can see Karen's comments saying, no, he's innocent. No, there's evidence that hasn't come to light yet that I know about, but, it proves he's totally innocent, which is just utter fucking bullshit.
Right.
If there was evidence that proved he was innocent, it would be brought up by his lawyers in court. He would not say, I'm guilty.
And let's not get it twisted, you guys. This dude is a white male. Yes. He's not some, unfortunate down his luck minority that didn't have good lawyers. That's not the case here.
He's a rich white man.
Right. Come on. If he didn't do it, he would have got out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming he's rich because he had a steady job as a narrator and people loved his voice. And he even made a song with Karen that went along with the series. And
it's a shame because his voice, if you've ever listened to those have you ever listened to those on audio?
I have. I listened.
His voice it is good. It's a
very deep, sexy voice.
Yes, it is.
It is.
But
100%.
God damn it, you're pedo. Can't deal with it.
No. I loved that series. And then watching that fucking train wreck, it killed me once again. And that's that 99%. Like, no, fuck you. You defended a pedophile. I'm done. Yeah. I'm out. I'm never giving you another single dollar. I will never read anything you ever write again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back and reread the Fever series, which I love.
I won't. I'm done. Because the fact that I'm not going to proceed forward, I'm done with it completely. I'll never reread it. I have no desire to, because I'm not going to know what happens next. So it's a wrap.
I read those 5 books, never read anything else. I read her historical Scottish, which were cute, and then somehow apparently tied in with the Fever series. But no, I'm done. Fuck it all.
Fuck it all.
Fuck it all. Word.
All right, so let's go from that, shit show onto, I mean, now we have like authors really just being crazy and stalking people. Like, who in the hell stalks someone over a bad review? Let me just say that.
Crazy fucking people.
Like, what the fuck? Go to therapy. Go to therapy, you nut job. Like, why would you do that? So if you have not heard, we're talking about Kathleen Hale. There are articles on Jezebel.com, Bustle.com, BuzzFeedNews.com. All will be linked. But apparently she didn't like what a reviewer had to say, and she decided to stalk her. And
then she wrote about it.
Yes.
Published it in, I don't remember what newspaper it was, but it was a major newspaper. And then people started praising her. I know Anne Rice praised her. I think Neil Gaiman praised her. Possibly Stephen King. I don't know those last two. I know there were big name male authors, but I know for sure Anne Rice was praising her. And they're like, yes, she's standing up to her bullies. Go, woman, go. Sometimes I wish I could stand up to my bullies.
I'm sorry. Like, don't get me going on this. A bad review is not being bullied.
No, it's not.
You, oh my God, learn something. Number one, if you put a piece of work out there that is public consumption, people have a right to not like it, just like they have a right to like it. And because they don't like it, doesn't mean that they deserve to be talked shit to be harassed online, to be stalked at their home, to have your little groupies sicked on them. Like, none of that because they didn't like your book.
Mm-mm.
None of it.
None of it. None of it.
And you're not going to, everyone's not going to like everything. And honestly, I'm surprised some of these bigger authors didn't tell you to take a seat, because I know some of these authors and publicists probably tell their authors don't read reviews.
Yes, that's like the number one rule. Do not read your reviews. Period. The end. Never read your reviews.
Yeah.
You want to me, have somebody else read them.
Yeah. Because to me, that's you looking to get your ego stroked because you think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And when someone doesn't like it, now you got a big ass problem. So just imagine if your book actually did really well, and instead of 5 negative reviews, you have 5,000 negative reviews. I'm sorry. That's a part of it. And then you're going to be a psycho, acting like a psycho, then writing about being psycho, and then expect people to read that too? Get out of here. Get out. I can't.
No, it's absolutely disgusting. And I had a friend who knew the blogger. So it's, a friend of a friend. And it's just absolutely horrifying to think that, you write a book review, you don't think anything of it, And then all of a sudden, the author is outside your house calling you and trying to figure out, if you are who you say you are, because, oh no, you're using a fake name on the internet. So you're obviously this crazy bully.
See, you know what?
That's fucking terrifying. This woman left blogging. She left the internet. I'm pretty sure she moved, because I would absolutely move. I don't want anybody being able to find me like that.
Like, I'll be calling the police. I'll be like, this is crazy.
And I'll be like, here's the evidence. She listed everything right here in her own goddamn article.
Yeah, I'm calling the police.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, you are going to regret this. You want to come over here acting crazy? Okay. I'm not going to come outside and deal with you, but I'll have somebody else come deal with you.
Nope. Call the police. Call the judges, call anybody.
I mean, that is insane to me. Like, because, you guys, we have given other, we had another podcast episode where we talked about how to do good reviews right. We did talk about a little bit about how to address the writing and not the author per se.
Yes.
And I think that is a good thing to keep in your mind. But I didn't read the review in this case, but I don't care what it says. It was deleted.
It was deleted. And so we only have Kathleen's account of the review. And Kathleen is saying that it called her absolute trash, that it, was telling everybody never to read it, that,
that's still not
I don't
enough
believe
to go
Kathleen.
I don't either.
Because
most reviewers, like people who review on blogs and podcasts, they know better. They will never attack a person individually.
Yes.
It's rare when you see somebody do that. I just don't believe it. I think she just didn't like the review and wanted an excuse to act a fool.
Yep. And then she was praised for it. The book still came out. The second book still came out, and now she has a new book deal writing about how she's a fucking stalker. And this is just pure white privilege here. Straight up, pure 100% white privilege. Because if you broke the law, you don't get to write a book about breaking the law and making money off of that. Like,
yeah,
who the fuck gets paid to write about breaking the law?
Well, when I pulled up the book too, I tried to find it. Let's see. I have a Goodreads link. I'm not going to share that because I don't give two shits about her book. So I'm not going to share that. But when I pulled it up, it looks like no one has read it, honestly. I mean, yeah, it looks like, I don't know when this came out, but it came out in 2019. Has 600 reviews and the rating is 1.96. So barely no one's read this hot garbage. No one's read it. People haven't finished it. They're marking it D&D, DNF.
Yep.
So it's a clusterfuck. Like they tried it. She tried it and failed. So that's exactly what you get, you crazy girl. And I mean, okay, you crazy. Don't go to therapy. Okay. And then we'll all be good. No worries. Go to therapy. That's not right. That's not right.
Go to jail. You broke the law. You are a stalker.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. There we go. And you know what? There are lots of examples of authors behaving badly like that, sending fans after reviewers for reviews. And I don't have a bunch of names, but if you Google it, for a minute, it was a hot topic because there was a lot of authors losing their minds, acting crazy out here.
They would get 1-star review, like a single 1-star review, and then they would just sick their rabid fans on that person. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It seems to have kind of calmed down a little bit, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. Good Lord, people.
I mean, because not to mention people, so either people have paid to read that book so they can say what the fuck they want to say about it, or a publisher has given them that book in exchange for a honest review. That is the expectation. So you can say what the fuck you want to say in that case too. You're not going to like every book you get, and authors and publishers know this. Professionals know this. So sit your ass down and like have a shot or something. I don't know, whatever you need to calm yourself down, because it's like really not that serious.
Yeah. No. A 1-star review will not kill your career.
No.
But stalking somebody because of a 1-star review will kill your career.
Mm-hmm. Lord.
Oh my fucking God.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's that kind of bad. That's that one. And I've never read her and I never will. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about one more kind of bad. And this is a clusterfuck as well. But you guys know that book, 13 Reasons Why, and the Netflix adaptation. Mm-hmm. But the author is Jay Asher, and he was accused of sexual harassment in 2018. He's no longer a member of the Society of the Children's Book Writers and Illustrators group because he violated the harassment code. Oh, God. So I don't know if he's just so cocky that he thinks his shit doesn't stink, that he felt he could just push up on people, or what. I don't know. But yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I read his book in high school and I enjoyed it then, but I don't think I would ever reread it. Like even before I found out about all of this, it's not one of those books you want to reread.
Yeah.
And then I never watched the show. I want to watch the show. It's about
suicide. No one. Oh, I did watch the show, and it was like, oh my God, you have so many trigger warnings going on with the things going on. Like it was a very heavy topics with lots of trigger warnings. And this whole thing about him being accused of sexual harassment even had Netflix giving statements. According to Vanity Fair, they were like, Jay Asher is not involved in the second season of 13 Reasons Why, and the upcoming season will not be impacted. So they're like, we have nothing to do with him at this point. Mm-hmm. Netflix are like, hands off. We don't, nope.
We're clean. We're
clean. We're not a part of it. We're not defending him. He's out of the story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, not good. And then you go and get kicked out of a group of writers because you're gross. This is one that kind of faded really quickly. I think he was lucky it faded so quickly.
I think he really was very, very lucky about this. Yeah. There have been many, many stories of female authors being harassed and accosted by other male authors. During the Me Too movement, a lot came out. Google is your friend at this point. If you have a male author that you like, Google his name in Me Too and see what pops up. And you will be very surprised. Mm-hmm. Like we could do an entire show on every male author who was outed during Me Too. And those were just the people outed during Me Too movement. Like there's... Yeah. Just like in any industry,
yeah,
there's men out there who don't understand. They don't. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Lord have mercy! I cannot with these crazy people. I mean, and it's all kind of gross. I mean, we were all across the board today, like on types of situations and stuff. And this really just skimmed the surface of all the grossness that's out there in the book community.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not even touching all of the authors who fled Facebook and went to Parler for various reasons. Mm-hmm. No, I found a list of all those authors on Parler, and I'm just going to not read any of their stuff.
You need to know who you're reading.
Yes.
You need to be aware. So you should check out this list. And if there's someone on there you're reading, you should look at what their offense is, what they've been accused of, what they've been doing, and decide if you think you want to support that with your money.
There are a couple, I recognized a few authors on there, and I went to their Facebook pages, and their Facebook pages are crystal clean. Like there is not one iota of any sort of political thing on their Facebook page.
They washed it. Yeah.
They washed it. But they're on Parler going free for all out there. And I'm just like, you know what you're saying is wrong, and you know what you're saying will lose you readers. So that's why you went to the Spades, to be your crazy ass racist self, because you thought you could get away with it. So no, I'm not reading you.
No.
We're done.
Yeah. I saw a couple on the list too, and I'm like, oh boy. So I encourage you to look at the list. I mean, you just need to be aware. I'm not telling you to go out there and Google every single author on your shelf or anything crazy like that. But I do encourage you, if you hear a murmur of something, you hear somebody talking about something, or you see an article show up in your newsfeed, investigate. Go
to Google, look for sources. Right. Go to their Facebook accounts or their Twitter accounts. Like J.K. Rowling is posting her transphobic shit all over Twitter. You can find it. You can see it. You can listen to her interviews where she doubles down on it.
Yeah.
Some people are very open in their trash fire shit. You know? Others try to sweep it under the rug and hide in Parler while not saying anything on Facebook.
You know, I'm of the school, show me who you are. Show me how terrible you are so I know. Yes. Even in real life, day-to-day real life. Show me the real you so I know if I need to stay away from you or not.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be showing me one face and doing something else behind my back. Because I want to make, good choices with my buying power. And while you can't, I'd rather affect someone's pocket than be on Twitter going off on a tirade. For what? That is not my thing. I will never be trying to be up on Twitter or Facebook trying to correct somebody and their bad thoughts or bad opinions. I'm going to show you with my money.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been doing with Karen Marie Moning. I watched everything happen. I know it happened. I stopped buying her books, but I'm not out there every time she publishes a book going, hey, you're a pedophile offender. Nobody read her stuff. No, I keep my mouth shut. And then I tell my friends, I'm like, hey, did you hear about this? Here are these articles. Here's what went down. You're my friend. I want you to be aware because,
Yeah, because like you should know. If you don't know.
If you don't know, now you know.
I mean, it's just like you want to look out for your friends. It's like if your friend has some, I don't know, dressing on their face, you're not going to let them walk out the restaurant with dressing on their face, right?
Nope. Here's a napkin.
Right.
Now you know.
Right. Gotta look out for people, and that's what we're doing for you. We're not letting you walk out with a ranch on your cheek. We got you. We got you.
Yes. And we have the facts to back it up. There are multiple articles you can go look at. There are screenshots you can look at. There's Google, and you can do your own research if you don't believe it. And then it's up to you personally. If you disagree with what Karen Marie Moning said 6 years ago, but you love this series and you can sit with the fact that you're going to keep reading her no matter what, go for it. That is your prerogative. That is your choice. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
My choice is just not read her.
Another one we didn't have on our pre-posted list, but I encourage you to Google this. The author of American Dirt. That was drama that happened last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that shit show.
That's a shit show. If you are unaware and your book clubs are trying to recommend this book, look it up. Look it up first.
So, quick, fun side note, antidote. I don't know. This may get cut later. I I watched that unfold in real time, obviously, because I'm part of the book world. And I read a couple paragraphs and snippets in articles, and the writing just looked atrocious. And I don't know if these articles were just picking the worst paragraphs or what, but the writing looked terrible. And then my aunt, who I love and adore, she's in a book club, and her book club read the book because they loved it, and they loved it, you know? They said the writing was amazing. And I just said, I'm very surprised that the college professor in your book club loved this writing, because what I saw was atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, it was an Oprah book club pick, and they regretted it. They really did. And because of that, they pulled another popular book that I read, because I actually read, I think I listened to it on audiobook. I had access to American Dirt before it came out. So before the drama, I had it from the publisher. So I read it. And I mean, I thought it was okay, but I spotted some things. I spotted some problematic parts upon reading it. Like one part, I'm like, they're talking about like the cartel coming in and killing the whole family and eating chicken before they leave, eating chicken off the grill. I'm like, okay. I mean, and then like sometimes she used the wrong word for Spanish word.
Oh my God.
A couple of times. And I'm like, oh, that's the wrong word. And I don't even speak Spanish, but I do know some Spanish. And I'm like, oh, that's not right. And I spotted it right away. And of course there were some things in there where there are definitely situations that people make assumptions about certain kind of people. And it's clear. So not that the whole thing was a racist mess, but there were problematic sections in there. And I understand why Latinos were mad. I understand. That's all. I understand. I get it. And you might just want to look it up before a book club goes out and buys 10 or 15 copies of this book. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And to play the devil's advocate, I know some people said they wanted to read this book and then compare it to other authentic, is the word they were using, books about Mexico and written by Hispanic and Latino authors. And I'm just like, if they're telling you it's racist, why would you read it?
Believe them? Yeah.
Why won't you just believe them?
Right.
But no, those people wanted to read it and compare. And some people said it was good, and some people said it was not good, and some people said this should just be a movie. It'd be a great movie. And I'm like, that's not, no.
It's so much. I mean, honestly, the book, I would just stay away from it, honestly. If I had heard of all the drama that went down before I read the book, I would have just skipped it. But I was trying to be good about staying on top of things that I've been given. But before the stuff happened, I spotted some things and I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. And then suddenly after its release, it was a January release. And then everyone was like, "Rawr!" I'm like, oh shit. I just finished this book 2 weeks ago. And they're talking about the stuff that I've seen in it. And it's not just about the writing itself, but it's a little bit about the author. And if you Google it, you'll find it. But she was trying to put out like this vibe that, oh, I've been scared of immigration and stuff because my husband is an immigrant and I'm scared that he might get yanked up off the street if we pulled over on a traffic stop. And this guy's like Italian or something. I'm like, really? People came for her for that too. Like, dude, your husband. Like, okay, lady. Okay. It's funny. I'm like, you really think that people are supposed to like relate to that? I don't know. But again, I'll get one or two links and throw them in the show notes for you to check that out. So definitely, like, keep your ear to the wall, you guys, or to the ground, rather. If you hear something and it sounds suspect to you, look it up.
Look it up. Research. Google. Twitter, even. Yeah. Yes, Twitter can be a giant trash fire, but, sometimes there's a point to it. Sometimes there's good logic and reason behind what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this is a great time to take a very quick break for our sponsors. Be sure to check out the sponsored links, click around, support the show. By supporting them, you support us. And then we'll do the Readers React segment when we return. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. Welcome back, guys. Yes, we have some fun Readers React. Well, maybe not fun, but I'm happy we have some feedback this time.
Yes.
I guess the topic was fire enough for people who want to comment on it. And of course, we'd love your comments. So if you still feel like you want to comment on this podcast, what we've talked about here, feel free to, call in, do a voicemail, and we'll play you in a future episode.
Yes. Talk to us. We want to hear you.
All right. Where should we start, Casey?
Do you want to go first?
I guess, because these are not short by any means. All of them are like a paragraph long. So my first comment comes from Anna on the Shelf Addiction Facebook page. She says, I am not sure if any of my favorite authors have become socially problematic, to be honest. I don't follow their personal lives, and I think it doesn't really matter unless it affects the actual writing. I have read all different genres, fiction, nonfiction, true crime, paranormal romance, etc. To me, it's whether or not the story draws me in. I don't follow a lot of authors' books unless I fall in love with a series or characters from the series. Well, thank you for commenting, Anna. And I think that kind of falls into the category that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, where people aren't looking.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not paying attention, you don't see it.
And that's very fair. For a lot of readers, they're just casual readers. This isn't their life. This isn't their career. They just read for fun, and then they go back to their 9-to-5 job. They hang out with their friends and family. They don't watch authors the way they watch other celebrities. There's no People magazine telling them what's what. And that's their life. That's their choice.
Mm-hmm. That's their choice. Well, I like to see shit before I step into it. So that's me.
Yeah. I mean, that's not our opinion at all, clearly by this podcast. But that's, we live and breathe books. This is our careers. So,
Yep.
I have a long post from Sarah, and Sarah says, I stop reading them. I don't want to separate the artist from their work. There's always that conversation. Well, X is a piece of shit, but he made this film and it's really deep because blurg. Fuck off with that. I mean, consume whatever art you want to, but don't apologize for it or the creator, because that's what you're doing. If you consume art from a fucko, you're directly supporting said fucko. The money you paid for their creative product goes into their pocket. And because I'm a judgy bitch, it's totally cool if you don't share that. As a corrections officer, I had plenty of opportunity to purchase interesting art or bigger items like smokers that were handmade and pretty damn cool. The inmates got that money on their books. I don't care how much money a piece of art spoke to me. If their crimes were abhorrent, I'm not going to give them any of my money. I used to love The Mists of Avalon. It spoke to me on a deep level. I used to reread it every year. Then I found out that the author sided with a pedophile over her children. I have not read it since. People talk about finding the good things in people's art when they have done horrible things, like that's some kind of benchmark that makes them complicated. Being a fucko isn't deep or complex. It is what it is, plain simple. I'm not saying creators have to be perfect. Everyone is flawed. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone probably has some ideas or thoughts that are awful, but not everyone actively seeks to hurt others. And I think that's the difference. I agree 100% with that.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Well said, Sarah.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. I fully agree with her as well. I mean,
yeah.
Money talks, bullshit walks, like,
Yeah. Don't make excuses for people.
Yeah.
If they're a fucko, they're a fucko. Don't give them money. Don't support them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we both have felt that pain of somebody a writer that we really enjoyed. And now
Oh,
we're like,
yes.
fuck it all, man. We really like
Multiple
them.
times.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And it fucking sucks. It hurts. Yeah. It's devastating. But people aren't perfect. People make mistakes. But if they're a giant flaming fucko, fuck them.
There's consequences. You know, in life, there are consequences for what you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't experience those consequences, you keep doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what is that?
Yes.
If you just look the other way and keep supporting them anyway, what does that say?
It says they can do anything they want.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next comment on the Facebook page says, William Kent Kruger, this is by Dorothy, by the way. Thank you, Dorothy. William Kent Kruger got a lot of flack when one of the Cork O'Connor novels dealt with the violence many immigrants face in the Southwest. Many readers told him they would never read him again. I was glad he took on the issue in a fictional story based in facts. Many of his books deal with the problems Native Americans face, particularly in Minnesota, where most books take place. I don't recall any Facebook posts that have been offensive, but he deals with social issues in all of his books. I admire him for that. I'm sure there is a group that feels his books are socially problematic, then make the choice to support him with books or not. I guess this is a little different if he's not on social media doing it, but if you
I don't
individual.
Know.
I'm not familiar with him, but
I'm not either. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's writing. I don't know, if he's a white man saying bad stuff about Mexicans or if he's a Mexican man trying to show his lifestyle. I have no idea. And that's, your personal opinion. Again, if you think it's right, if you respect what he's doing, keep reading his books. Absolutely. That's something I would have to look into myself before I started reading him.
Yes, but I do like your last sentence where you're saying make the choice to support him with the books or not. Yes. Everyone has to make that choice for themselves.
With every piece of art you buy, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're making that choice with music, with movies, with books, with art online. Like if you're buying from an Etsy shop, look at what they're selling.
Exactly. Well, thank you for commenting, Dorothy. Appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you, Dorothy. Okay. So my last comment comes from Jessica. Jessica says, oh man, the only author with a book that I reread literally every year is super problematic. I've been reading her since I was in high school. And though I don't love all of her books, when they work for me, they work. I don't think I've bought any of her stuff since I learned of the issues. I think I may have gotten 1 or 2 new books from the library and didn't love it. Since the book or 2 before that hadn't really clicked for me, I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not buying her new work. I won't recommend her unless it's to somebody with an understanding of the whole issue or the whole situation. And I have a very specific reason to rec. Something like, this author does this one thing extremely well in this one book, and I'll lend them the book if I can. And, Jessica, that's me with J.K. Rowling. I know she's problematic as fuck, but I keep rereading Harry Potter. But I'm not buying any of her new stuff. I'm not giving her any money. And that's what you're saying is you have your favorite, but you're not continuing to give her more money for her art. You're not continuing to promote her. You're not, you acknowledge that she's problematic and you can sit with that and reread these books. And that's me with Harry Potter.
Yeah. And again, it's down to choices. I mean, that's your choice. That's your prerogative to do so. And, like you said, if you're not going to buy more, that's fabulous. I think it's great that you're not going to buy more. But if you feel that attached to it, Yeah. Ugh. Well, thank you for sharing that. This whole situation is like this whole topic is just icky, unfortunately.
It is. And everybody has their own opinion, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yep. And I have one last comment. This is from Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group. And Lila posted this. Thank you so much, Lila. Or Layla. I think it might be Layla. Lei. Yeah, that's Layla. Lord help me, Layla. Okay. In all honesty, I have to say that I refuse to let problematic authors dictate my reading choices. If I did, I'd have to cut out my options by more than half, not to mention all of those beloved childhood memories that will be tainted irreparably by the misogynistic or racist views of the author. Do I like the personal political views of every author I read? No. Will I let that stop me from finding and exploring new worlds and characters? No. Especially in today's society where you can be surprised by the views of the people you've admired for years. Oof. Yes, it's your choice. Yeah. And I mean, what you're saying is true. Sometimes if you've looked up to someone for years and years and you find out something gross, I mean, that's definitely a situation that we dealt with in the last couple of years. Like people like we were talking about those authors that went to Parler, they out themselves. You're like, what? I didn't know you thought that. Dang. Okay. And you know, it is your choice to continue reading them or not, but
yeah, it's your choice.
Yeah.
It's absolutely your choice.
Absolutely. So thanks again, Layla, for the comment.
Thank you.
Okay, so we want to know, you guys tell us if you're listening right now, you've made it to the end of this podcast. We appreciate you for listening and we appreciate you for being here, but do drop us a line. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, or on Facebook group.
Join the group Official. And talk with us.
Yes. Let us know your point of view because, you know, it's always good to hear others' opinions.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if you may not agree per se, that's okay.
It's your opinion. And, you know, it's your life. If you want to read these books, read these books.
Yeah, for sure. Because especially Shelf Addiction Official specifically, it's a safe space for readers. We make it a point to make it a safe space. So even if, like I said, we don't necessarily agree, we're not going to argue.
Oh, yeah.
It's your place to have your own opinion. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, not everybody agrees with me with J.K. Rowling. To keep harping on this one example because she's such a big name and everybody knows her. I know plenty of people who have thrown all of their Harry Potter books into the trash because they are so disgusted and hurt by what she has said. And I absolutely support them in all of that. You know, if that's what you want to do it. Me personally, I just think Harry Potter was written by a magical anonymous pen. And I don't know who wrote these books anymore. I just love these books because they're amazing.
They're magic.
They're magic. They just magically appeared on my bookshelf. I don't know who the author is. Oh, well. You know, like that's my personal choice. And I know that differs from a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's all about personal choice.
Yeah. Well, before we go, we do have one more to share with you guys. We forgot about this before the break, so we're going to throw it in now. So you get one more dumpster fire before we say adieu. Casey, you want to lead us in?
Her name is Jamie McGuire, and her trash fire is everything. She's racist, she's homophobic, she's anti-vaxxer, she's all over Parler, calling for a new revolution or second civil war or something. She was very happy when a young Black man was killed in 2020. And no, she is a trash fire human being. And personally, I think her books are not good. I read one back in like 2012 or 2013, Beautiful Disaster. It was a disaster. There was nothing really redeemable about that book.
No.
I didn't agree with any part of it, and I never read anything else by her. But no, she's like our, she does everything wrong. Trash fire.
Yeah. I did read that same book for book club at the time. It wasn't my pick, but you read the books for book club.
You read the books for book club.
Yeah, and it was bad. It was very bad. And, obviously I didn't know anything about this woman until well after that. But it was not a good book. It had so many problems in itself as far as how the characters treated each other, the type of relationships. They were problematic relationships in there. Yeah.
It was abuse.
It was a mess, y'all. It was a hot mess. So, and then I know she wrote a follow-up book where, I hate when authors do this because it's so lazy. They just rewrite the same book from the male perspective, but it's literally the same fucking book.
Same fucking book. If you want to include his point of view, write it in the first book.
Right. Do alternating. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because that was another shit show. But, my point of view, my opinion, some people loved it. Some people like reading books with problematic relationships. More power to you. That's what you want to do. But I don't prefer to. No. That one is that extreme. It's abusive, what was going on in that book.
Yeah. That was straight up abuse. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yikes. So, of course, we ended there on a little high note. I guess that's what you would call it. The biggest dumpster fire. Well, one of the biggest, I guess.
One of the biggest.
Yeah.
No, she's trash fire, and she has been showing her whole ass for the last 5+ years. Like, she has made no effort to keep her point of view, her political views, quiet at all. And apparently some people didn't discover her point of view until 2020, last year, which I find very surprising. But hey, maybe these people are, just fans and they don't follow her on social media. But when they found out, they said, here's what I'm doing with my money. And again, that's your personal choice. You do you.
Yeah. And may I just say, if you watch any kind of news or read any kind of news, like what I do is I add some keywords in my Google News feed. So I look for authors, audiobook narrators, new books, books, just some different keywords that would generate articles to show up about literary topics, so that way some of these hot topics, when they talk about, they find out dirt on people, it shows up.
Yeah.
And me, I'm not watching news all day. I'm not consuming news all day, but like in the morning per se, I scroll my news feed. I've listened to a couple news podcasts, maybe the first 45 hour, minutes of the day. And then I move on, because I don't like to not know what's happening. I'm not definitely keeping the news on in the background all day. But, if you do scroll a news feed every once in a while, add some keywords so you're aware,
Yeah. Hang out in bookish Facebook groups. Go on Twitter and find the bookish Twitter land. Like, it's huge. Follow authors you like. Follow people who are in the book world, Yeah. And you'll learn.
Follow Shelf Addiction on Twitter and Facebook, because I post articles that I find in my news feed. So if it's good or bad, it's like, it could be industry news, it could be author news, it could be new release news. If I find something that I deem interesting, whether it's good or bad, I post it so you know about it. So even if you don't want to do the work, follow me and I'll do the work for you.
It's great.
Yeah. So I think that's it. What do you think, Casey?
I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
Yeah. It was a good conversation, even though it was a dirty one. And not in a good way.
Not a good dirty.
So again, I thank you. If you are listening to this at this point in the game, thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. And as always, I appreciate you spending your time with us. We will catch you in the next episode. So until then, take care of yourself, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction Podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.